For today's Cyber CEO episode,
I can leverage out my time to Cyberbacker virtually, especially because it doesn't have to be in-house either. And actually my Cyberbacker, Alec, he blew me away. Just his energy, like even the cadence, the way that he talked. And I was like, man, this guy's it. He's just been fantastic. I couldn't have asked for anybody better. And for that matter too, he has grown our business. I don't say mine anymore because it's no longer just me here. He is a part of this team and I couldn't be happier with him. I just couldn't. But it's really only been 2 months and I've already seen more engagement in my socials. I've already seen more people in my sphere reach out to me. It's fantastic. And it's really cool to see the development that me and him are making. Greatest benefit would be just my time back. I used to be up until 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, that this phone stopped ringing at 8, 9 o'clock at night. Now I can sit behind the desk here and do these extra things or do the things I should be doing. They're not extra, they are necessary for your business. So just to have that time back was great. And I know that if I am down for the count, Alec is still doing stuff, right? That my business is still moving forward. If I go and I have dinner with my family, I don't feel guilty because somebody else is still working on the business. And it makes me have a lot more relief and a lot more just being in the moment and enjoyment of life overall. Quality of life with Alec and my Cyberbacker has just been through the roof. Really has. If I could have 10 Alex, just absolute killers, we'd just be taking over the residential real estate market here in Pittsburgh. I absolutely cannot talk good enough about my experience. I love it.
welcome to Cyber CEO, wherein we talk about how our cyberbackers helped our cyber CEOs take their businesses to the next level. Cyber CEO is powered by Cyberbacker, the world's leading provider of admin support services from anywhere in the world to anyone in the world. Please visit our website www.cyberbacker.com for more details. Another awesome day here at Cyberbacker. My name is Jello. We're back with another episode of Cyber CEO, and of course, where we talk about our cyber CEOs on the show and their experience with Cyberbacker. Today, we have a very special guest on our show, one of our awesome cyber CEOs. Ken, how are you doing today?
Good, Jello. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing wonderful. Of course, thank you very much for asking and for being on the show. I know you have a lot of things to do. Really appreciate you being here. So as what we talked about earlier, we're here to talk more about your partnership with Cyberbacker. But before we head on to that topic, we just wanted to know, what line of business are you in, Ken?
Yeah, so I am a full-time real estate agent with 𝗙𝗧𝗋 here in the greater Pittsburgh area. I've been doing real estate on the agent side for a few years now. Before that, I was in investments on the real estate end as well.
Gosh, so really, in total though, how many years have you been in real estate then?
About 5 or 6 right now.
5 or 6. A lot of experience right there. Now, I know a lot of our listeners might be curious. So what is it like running a real estate business, Ken?
That's a great question, man. It's having a lot of balls all up in the air at the same time. Wow. You wear so many different hats, right? That you are not just the negotiator, you're also the psychologist, right? You're the intermediary between, your client and the other broker's client as well. So there's just a lot of communication. And at the end of the day too, you're also an entrepreneur. People think that, when you're an agent, that's all that you are, but you have to be handling your business end. You have to be, getting leads. You have to be a marketer, an accountant, all these different things.
Gosh, pretty crazy days, I'm assuming. And just looking at a calendar, probably it's almost full every day for you then. Am I right?
I'll tell you what, I left my 9 to 5 because the whole classic, I don't want to work 8 hours behind a desk, but now I work all the time. And I'll tell you what, though, I love it.
Gosh, good to know, though. Good to know. So talk to me more about the team, the real estate business that you have. Now, do you have your own team? Do you work with people in-house as well? Or do you just work with your Cyberbacker for now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I actually am a solo agent, so I don't have a team of agents underneath me formally. I do have some agents that I mentor, but they're not really a part of my business formally as of yet. But as far as my team goes, I do have a transaction coordinator who's like my assistant. She does all my paperwork for me. I have an accountant. I have my Cyberbacker as well. And I actually have a few other people doing hands-on marketing for me as well here. So people that do direct mail, that they'll actually go and physically do the envelopes, write the addresses, stuff like that. So I do have a team underneath me, but not in the way that a lot of agents do.
So really a lot of virtual work with a lot of people then, am I right?
It's a mix. It's a hybrid. So virtual and in-house, because, obviously my Cyberbacker, he can't be hand delivering CFAs for me. But yeah, so it's a lot.
A lot of it, of course. A good mix, of course. Now, talk to me more about your Cyberbacker. Then you already mentioned him, 𝗙𝗚liche, right? I just wanted to know because virtual leverage, it's not something that a lot of business owners are aware of right now, right? So how did you personally find out about virtual leverage?
So I found out about virtual leverage when I first took Bold at Keller Williams, and they were talking about how basically a lot of agents and entrepreneurs at large, they see their time as just being free, right? That if I sit down and I pull data for 1,000 houses in a neighborhood, right? I don't take that into consideration of what my dollar per hour is. But if I can leverage that out to somebody else, that leaves me open to the opportunities that only I can do, right? Like I should be the only one really going on listing appointments, or, touring a house with a buyer, or, having these presentations that I am the only one that can do it, but I can leverage out my time to, Cyberbacker virtually, especially because it doesn't have to be in-house either. Like I said before, that to have the cyber capability, it's great because it works out good for them. It works out good for me, that I don't have to house an office for somebody, that I don't have to worry about, meeting them face to face or anything like that.
Of course. A win-win situation for both sides. A win for you and your business, a win for Cyberbacker as well. So was it in the same Bold meeting that you found out about Cyberbacker too?
So yeah, it was crazy that, about being in Bold, I was actually in a fortunate position that I was like the youngest, least experienced agent there, that I was at a table with all these people that have been doing the real estate game for years and years. And a lot of them talked about, different virtual assistants, but the one common phrase was Cyberbacker, Cyberbacker, Cyberbacker. And then finally I was like, what is this? And a few people talked to me about it. And actually some of my mentors in the real estate world use Cyberbacker as well, and the different ways that they utilize them. And what I liked about it is that a lot of these individual services as an agent that you just get bombarded with, right? That they're like, oh, it's just this, it's just that. Cyberbacker, what really sold me was that you can use them however essentially you need them to be utilized. That if you want them to do cold calling, they'll do that. If you want them to do social media management, they'll do that. Like back end paperwork, like it really was a chameleon. And I really sat down, I'm like, what is my time suck, right? Like what do I really need to take my business to the next level? And I talked to Cyberbacker about what I came across, and they gave me a plethora of great candidates. And yeah, it was really hard actually to pick.
Yeah, of course, a lot of great potential Cyberbackers, of course, here in our pool here in Cyberbacker. Now, you mentioned earlier about just creating those lists or finding those tasks that really take a lot of your time. So, can you share with us maybe a few of those tasks that you listed down back then?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's 𝗙𝗚liche𝗋𝗋 that talks about, if everyone who's an entrepreneur does the things that they said they should be doing in their business, we would all have really successful businesses. And that's really why I started to make a list over the course of it was like a couple month process, that this was a big investment for my company. This was a big, trust exercise as well for myself, because I like to be in control of more or less everything that has my name on it, has my brand on it, that is attached to my livelihood. So over the course of a few months, what I did was I thought to myself, oh man, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I wrote it down. And what those really included were mainly social media marketing, following up with my database, just content creation, things like that, where I'm like, man, I need to have this bigger, better social presence. And for follow-up, those are the things I should be doing, especially when I have deals that are closed and I'm not doing, just the simple, just closed on this property. I wasn't doing those, and I wasn't being as active on social media as I know I should. And I've heard these other top agents go, this is a lead source. You should be doing it. So I really put together just like a little concise of, hey, I'm looking for this kind of person for basically social media management, and Cyberbacker really came through for a baseline.
Of course. Cyberbacker would provide a lot of candidates, but last thing is, the last decision would be on you, of course. So something in relation to that, how do you find the right Cyberbacker, and how do you dig deep enough to realize that this Cyberbacker is going to work well with you in the business?
Yeah. So that was great, because I've been in past positions before this in a hiring role before. And most of the time when you go and you put out a job posting, you normally get maybe some sort of half-written cover letter and a resume that might not be too polished, and you get a million applicants. And I was really kind of thinking that it was going to either be that or Cyberbacker goes, hey, here's your person. And I'm just going to have to sort of deal with it, right? But that's not at all how it went. That they basically went and did that first round of putting out, the bat signal, so to say, of like, hey, we were doing this job posting. This is what this person wants, who is interested. And they gave me, I think it was 5 candidates with really completed resumes with examples of their work, video introductions of themselves. And right off the bat, that immediately that saved so much time of sifting through just piles of whatever resumes. And it was nice to see like all the different work and whatnot. And they go, okay, I got to have a background before I even had a face-to-face interview with them, which was great. I actually already had sort of my top 3 just before I even talked to any of these people. And actually my Cyberbacker Alec, he blew me away that just like that to communicate that energy and whatnot. Like this was really cool that I could also forward all those materials along to a couple of people that are my mentors. And even my wife, she watched them with me because I'm like, hey, this is going to be somebody that is really integrated in my business and I value her opinion. So it was really cool to just sort of, instead of having to communicate like, oh yeah, I went on an interview with this person, this is what it's like. No, here's already some of the things that you can go and see for yourself. And it was really, really helpful.
Of course. Cyberbacker is here to make your life easier as much as we can. So one last question about that hiring process, though. I know you've already chosen Alec, already building a terrific partnership right now. But what was it about him during that phase that really made you say, this guy's my Cyberbacker?
I'll tell you what, me and him are brothers from another mother, like flat out. We are cut from the same cloth. He was just his energy, just even the cadence, the way that he talked in the video interview and everything. I was like, man, this guy's it. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had the privilege of just meeting somebody that immediately you click, right? That you only say a few sentences. It's like, dude, there's that weird interpersonal connection that you just can't replicate. You just can't. And when you know, and that's exactly what it was. And I'll tell you what, he's just been fantastic. I couldn't have asked for anybody better. And for that matter too, he has grown his business, grown our business. I don't say mine anymore because he's really good of being like, hey man, like, no, we're a team. And that's how I really want it to be, that it's no longer just me here. It's not me just, posting stuff on socials. Like I have people that now rely on the income of this business and he is a part of this team. And I couldn't be happier with him. I just couldn't.
Love that mindset, just a team mentality with your Cyberbacker. They're part of your business. So earlier I forgot to ask this too, Ken. How long have you been working with Alex so far as of today?
It's just been honestly like a couple months. So there was obviously the training period that they put Cyberbacker through, which was also amazing as well. Not only did they give me a good base of people, but they also said, hey, it's going to be about I believe 10 days, about 2 weeks of dedicated training in the systems that they wanted me to train, that they wanted him to be trained on, which was great. But it's really only been 2 months and I've already seen more engagement in my socials. I've already seen more people in my sphere reach out to me because we're starting to KW uses the phrase touch in a systematic way, right? And even for that matter too, all my wins are being shared, throughout all my social media, where before I would sort of grind in the dark, so to say, that I could close $1 million deal and I just didn't post about it or hear about it. But now he's, without me even saying much or doing much, he's like, okay, great. This is under contract. It goes out. Okay, it's Memorial Day. These are going out. Oh, hey, you did a walkthrough. I'm going to edit it and post it up. It's fantastic. And it's really cool to see the development that me and him are making.
And the way you talk about the partnership that you now have with Alec, your Cyberbacker, just if I didn't ask you earlier how long the partnership's been going through, I would assume that it would have been around years already that you've been working together. Just the way you talk about them, the way you're happy with the partnership, just feels like it's been longer than just a few months. Just wanted to say that actually. Now, talk to me more about the strategies, though, during the beginning of the partnership, because you've already found the perfect person. But for this partnership to work out, you need to strategize. So how do you strategize effectively with your Cyberbacker during the beginning of the partnership?
So it's really important that whenever you're hiring anybody, for that matter, that they come into a role that you're like, okay, here's what your tasks are. This is what I want you to do. That I've had employers and I've seen other people hire, and it's like they don't really have much of a direction. They sort of know what they want out of this, but I'm like, I told Alec, I'm like, here's my expectations, X, Y, and Z. So it's setting him up for success. So he can then go concentrate on, okay, I need to get, Ken wants this. This is what I can get better on. This is, this is maybe what I can bring to the table. And for that matter too, he's made suggestions about like, oh, okay, hey, like you want posted on your socials at least twice a day. Okay, how about we start doing this? How about we do this kind of content? Let's experiment with short form versus long form. Let's experiment with these platforms. And it's really trying to be specific, but also broad so they can also bring their own flavor and their own set of skills to the table too. Just like how I said, I told him I wanted to post at least a couple times, but I didn't tell him exactly what. I gave him like one. I'm like, this is what I definitely want. But I told him, I was like, I want you to come up with something. Like, you're also my go-to person here on this team. I want to make sure that you are also having projects that you're passionate about that. And also too, when he goes and he sees a post that gets maybe 50 likes, that's him. I'm like, hey man, this was your conception. And that makes him feel good as far as I know. Like, he's like, yeah, man, like this was my idea. Yeah. So that's I think really important. And then for that matter too, it's constant development. Is that you do something for a little bit of time, and then you take a step back and you go, is this working? Okay, if it is, what's working about it? How can we adjust? Or maybe we just completely pivot to a different way completely, because me and him both are getting educated constantly through mentors, through online trainings, through other classes, and just through experience. And for instance, like I actually had him a couple of days ago, we're pivoting on to a different kind of social execution. So I had a meeting with him. It's like, hey man, this is what has been working for the past month. Let's keep up with it, but let's drop this that hasn't been working and let's try to implement this. So it's really just having patience and just trial and error. But at the same time, you have to set pretty specific goals and specific targets.
Absolutely agree with you there. Again, just setting those expectations during the beginning of the partnership, I think, is really key in any partnership, may it be virtual or not. If you're working with someone virtually or someone in the office, really those expectations are very important. And one thing that I got from all the things that you mentioned earlier was that you really have great communication with Alec. Am I right?
Oh my gosh, man. I'll tell you what. Yes. So he, through email, through text, through Zoom, like we meet twice a day. Beginning of the day call, end of day call. And granted, sometimes because my schedule is crazy, I might be in a car and a showing. I don't always get those 2 meetings a day, but I do meet with him every single day. And if I can't meet with him via Zoom, we're texting back and forth throughout the day, right? That he'll go and send me a Canva link and be like, hey man, is this good for the post? And I'll give him a little notes here and there. That something that takes me maybe 30 seconds to do, that saved me literally maybe an hour out of my day to be like, hey, adjust the logo like this, or, add this call to action, just little things like that. Like I said, the constant communication, heck, even on our time off from each other, like we're friends, man. Like we'll send each other just like texts and like about like what we're doing on the weekend, just like funny memes and stuff like that. Or like if I told him I'm going to like a carnival or something, on Friday, I'll text him a picture like, oh, hey man, I'm here. And it's just really, it's really good with the communication. Even when it's super late at night and I just might have like something pop in my head, I'll text him. I'll be like, hey man, like don't do anything with this now, but I just want to get this out to you. He doesn't care. He's like, great, we'll talk about it, at our beginning of the day call. And it's great.
Gosh, just the way you talk about the partners, it seems to me you've already found that perfect cyberbacker that fits your needs and your business's needs. Now, another question that I have, of course, is the way you talk about your cyberbackers. We already mentioned it earlier. A great partnership, a successful partnership. What is the single most important benefit you get from this virtual partnership with Alec?
The single greatest benefit would be just my time back. So when you are an agent and you start to actually have a lot of success, it's a great feeling. It's an adrenaline rush. There's a lot of validation there, but the reward is that you have to give more time, right? More clients mean more showing appointments, more listing appointments, more document preparation, all of these different things, all these negotiations, right? So when you're first starting out, you'll have time to go and post, hey, offer accepted, because you have one client, right? And you can do all the things. Or, I have no client. If I were to have no clients right now, I can go out and, craft the perfect email. Well, now the things that only I can be doing, like I said earlier about like showings, listings, negotiations, all the things that 𝗙𝗲𝗍 has to go and do himself, nobody else can do, I can now offload and get some of that time back instead of where before, if I didn't have him, guess what? I'd have to do all of those things. And either I would lose out on business because I wasn't doing the proper things I should be doing that Alex now doing for me, or I would just let balls drop. That I'd be like, oh man, you know what? I couldn't post today, so that could be a missed opportunity there that I didn't even know. And or for that matter too, that I'd be up until 2:00 in the morning every night, trying to craft an email. Because God knows that I used to do that. I used to be up until 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, that this phone stopped ringing at 8, 9 o'clock at night. It's like, okay, cool. All that external noise has gone away. Now I can sit behind the desk here and do these extra things or do the things I should be doing. They're not extra. They are necessary for your business. So just to have that time back was great. And even too, 𝗙𝗯, when there's been a couple times that he's been employed with me that I've been sick, right? That I'm just like sinus infection or injury because I'm a very active person or whatever, that I'm like, man, like, I cannot physically go behind a computer today, right? That I know that if I am down for the count, Alec is still doing stuff, right? That my business is still moving forward without me actually actively doing anything, which is such, when you're an entrepreneur or an agent, you feel guilty if you're not doing anything, right? If you're taking a break, you're always like, no, I need to be doing because your livelihood depends on it. That now it's like, hey, if I go and I have dinner with my family, I don't feel guilty because somebody else is still working on the business, like there's, I'm like, oh no, that Facebook post will go out. And it makes me have a lot more relief and a lot more just being in the moment and enjoyment of life overall. Quality of life with Alec and my Cyberbacker has just been through the roof. Really has.
Great to know that has been the impact of just working with Alec for a few months. Imagine what else the impact would be, how big the impact would be, let's say in the next couple of months or in a year's time, right? That's the exciting part.
𝗙𝗯, I can't wait that I've heard of these bigger agents than myself, these mega agents that have multiple Cyberbackers, right? And I'll tell you what's funny is that if anything, I have to be restrictive of myself to tell Alec what to do because I could give Alec 50 things a day. It's not hard to keep him busy, right? But as long as I keep seeing, like, hypothetically in a year from now, like, oh man, I'm seeing a lot of return on investment here. That might mean, okay, making him go full-time because he's only part-time with me right now because I just wanted to try that out to see if I liked it. Love it. I hope I do get the opportunity to put him full-time in the future here. And then from there too, it's like, hey, I would love to have 2 or 3 Cyberbackers. I heard of one agent, she had like 10, I believe.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know what? That seems to be the goal. I mean, if you want to talk about a proof of concept, I'm like, if I could have 10 Alex, just absolute killers. Like I'm like, I don't see any, I'd be like, we'd be taking over. We'd just be taking over the residential real estate market here in Pittsburgh.
Of course. It's something to look forward to, of course, in the future. And I know we've been talking about Alec for a while now, and for sure, he's going to be listening, watching this once we have this out. So before we go, would you want to give him a quick message or a quick shout out on the show?
Alec, I call him my son. Like, he's the best. I absolutely love him. He's a brother from another mother. I love you, man. You are absolutely everything I could have possibly asked for, and a friend, and then some. We talk about too constantly, like him coming to the US one day or me coming out to the Philippines. I would love to meet that one day. Like, he has become honestly like a part of my family. My wife and I talk about him, like, just absolutely amazing. And I love Alec, and I both strive for improvement every single day. That's it. It can be a little or a lot, but me and him both, that's the key of this, right? Is that, hey, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as we're taking one step forward. And I can't wait, man, that we've been only working with each other for a short amount, but I can't wait to see what a year from now looks like, 2 years from now. Like, we're going to be unstoppable. I love it, man. I love you, brother.
For sure. We are very, very excited to seeing the continued success and growth of this partnership. And of course, and we really appreciate you being on the show. I hope we can get you back here real soon, talk more about you and Alec.
𝗙𝗯, any day, anytime, I absolutely cannot talk good enough about my experience. Whenever you want me on, man, I'm here. I love it.
Perfect. We'll see you real soon. All right, Ken?
You too, 𝗙𝗯. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to our daily dose of Cyber CEO. Stay tuned to know more about how Cyberbacker creates a difference in this digital time and age. You can visit our website www.cyberbacker.com and follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.